Hey, welcome back to the channel. Just a little fun video here for you. Just thought I'd go through some of the top gifts over the last few years. I believe the list goes back to '83. But these are going to be the top toys, basically top gifts for the year that these toys came out. And hopefully you will like some of the list here. I believe the list starts in 2016. It's kind of a little dated list, but hey, could be fun. So I guess let's get right to it. First off, you have the Hatchimals in 2016. In fact, I really liked these myself. My wife actually. We kind of exchanged gifts one year and bought each other one of these back in 2016. I thought they were really fun, kind of cute to play with anyway. And it kind of reminded me of the Furbies that we had, way back when, that I never was really able to have. Until a friend of mine bought me one back at about the same time. Probably about I guess it was 2012 when I got my first Furby. And of course I remember this one, the 2015 remote control BB-8, of course from the new Star Wars movies. I really wanted one of these. I thought they were really cool. But then you see the price tag on them and I just couldn't afford to buy one. Even the small one that they had for $100 some odd was just way out of my price range. Anyhow, this was 2015, and of course the Star Wars movies were all just the rage. Everybody was just streaming to the theaters to watch them. Back in those days when everybody could just get up and go to a movie theater because we didn't have to deal with COVID. And of course, when Frozen came out, you had all the Frozen merchandise. And of course, here's one of the Frozen dolls here. It was one of the biggest toys really of the year that year because Frozen was probably the biggest movie that year. It was just crazy how many people wanted them. They were, you would go to the stores, they were sold out in places if you wanted them. And still not the biggest toy ever in my mind, but one of the bigger ones. That I can recall. Now here's one I didn't even pay attention to. 2013 was not the best year financially, so I didn't even pay attention to Christmas music or Christmas toys that year. But this was the big Hugs Elmo, apparently kind of the predecessor to the Tickle Me Elmo, or it followed the Tickle Me Elmo, which was one of the biggest toys I think probably in my entire lifetime during Christmas, so much that parents were punching people in the aisles just to get them. But the big Hugs Elmo was not as big of a toy, but it was still a huge hit apparently for 2013. Now in 2012, the Wii U was the big thing. I actually tried to find a way to get my wife one of these in 2012. And it didn't work because everybody said they were sold out of pre-orders and then they were sold out as soon as they released. So I never actually was able to obtain one of these, but they were one of the biggest toys, especially console-wise. Because Nintendo, they're always just a hit. Everybody seems to love Nintendo. They may never improve their quality all that much in visuals. But the Wii U was still a great console and a lot of people really enjoyed it. Here's something I would have never seen as a big Christmas getter, but apparently in 2011, the LeapPad Explorer tablet was something really big for kids. Apparently a lot of kids enjoyed them. A lot of parents liked buying them for their kids, and they were just a really huge gift. They kind of apparently sold. It was considered the toy of the year by the American International Toy Fair. And I think it's really good to be able to find toys for kids where they can be educational and enjoyable for the kid as well. In 2010, I remember the iPad. The iPad was one of those big ticket items that Apple had put out and everybody really wanted one. I actually had a few friends that ended up with them that some were satisfied and some found them to be just a waste of their money. But all in all, the iPad was a huge seller, a big deal at Christmas time throughout the year of 2010. after they released, and everybody really seemed to want them. It says here that over 300,000 were sold on the first day of its release alone. So obviously, huge popular item. A lot of people loved them. I was never able to afford to have one, but I was happy for those that were able to get them. It was a big step forward, I believe, in technology, especially tablet technology. It was really good in that respect. But at the end of the day, it was the top toy, or the top gift that people wanted in 2010. Now here's another one that I can't really play the video for because I might get hit with some kind of copyright. But as you see here, it's the Zuzu Pets. It was just apparently some kind of toy with a Zooniverse of pets to buy with names like Num Nums and Mr. Squiggles. Kids cannot get enough. Apparently they were originally sold for $9, but his parents were buying them for as much as $60 as Christmas got close. If you ask me, that's freaking crazy. If something sells for $9 at the store, just because the stores don't have many doesn't mean you should jack the price up on people. I find that to be a bit rude. And of course, in 2008, the Nintendo Wii was a huge hit, just like the Wii U in 2012, or 2011, I guess it was. But it was a huge console release. Ended up getting my wife one after they dropped in price about a year or two after they released. I got one for about $100 on sale at Sam's, and we still have it to this day. But it was a really big deal. A lot of kids, a lot of adults really wanted this one. It was supposedly a way to get people more active in playing their video games. I really don't think Nintendo succeeded with that very much, because it didn't seem as if people really got that far into the whole exercising thing, when most people would just sit down and play the video game while they were seated anyway, even though it was set for you to be standing or moving around. But still, a great gift, and a great gift that some people still have working to this day. Number 10, the Nintendo DS. In 2007, since I was going to school, I was able to find a way to have one of these. I thought it was really fun to play for a while. It was really good for the kids, and it was a huge deal at Christmas time. I know no stores had them around Christmas time. There again, I was able to find one about a year or so later at Sam's Club. I thought it was a nifty little gift, if not a little overpriced for what it did. But a lot of people enjoyed them, and a lot of people still enjoy them. In fact, I still have mine lying around here somewhere. In 2006 was the PlayStation 3. I didn't get mine for a while after they released. It was probably 2007, 2008 before I finally got a PS3. But I know they were very hard to find. As I mentioned here, people were causing fights in the aisles, especially on Black Friday, trying to beat people up just so they could get a stupid console. But at the end of the day, it was a very good console. It had some extra benefits to it. If I remember correctly, that was the one where when you weren't playing it, you could actually set it to do these basically algorithms for cancer research, supposedly. I don't know how far that ever went, or if it even actually helped, but I know whenever I wasn't using mine was set to be able to do that, just on the idea that it may help. I don't think it ever did, but hey, you never know. In 2005 was the Xbox 360. It was a really good system. I still have mine to this day. Back then, they weren't that difficult to come across. I think my first one I bought used until the Halo edition came out later on. And that took me a while to pay off there. I had to pre-order it about a year in advance and pay it off slowly. But at least I didn't have to get in line over Christmas to get it. It was a great item. It was a great thing, and I still play mine today. college hoops and NCAA football, since you can't have those on any other kind of system right now. But it was a huge system. It was a huge, really a game changer in consoles, and it really pushed the PlayStation to be that much better than it could have been, or than we thought it was going to be. So the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 were great gifts if you could get a hold of them back in 2005. And moving on to number 13, the Robosapien. I remember these. I know nobody was able to find them. Like, I couldn't even find them on eBay. I was just interested in, seeing how they worked. And I had, nieces and nephews that I thought, or at least a niece that I thought would find it entertaining. But I was never able to find them, so I didn't even waste my time on buying one. Especially when I finally found one well after Christmas, but it was almost impossible to find, and apparently a lot of people enjoyed it. They sold 1.5 million units leading up to Christmas. I thought people, a lot of kids would probably enjoy something like that. I thought it was kind of cool myself, but in the end, I think it was kind of costly. Not to mention the fact that they were almost impossible to find. Now, these are the toys some of the toys I never understood. I guess I was just too old to get it. This whole Beyblade thing, I never understood the whole concept of buying this arena thing and throwing things into it and seeing which one gets knocked out first or some mess. I never really understood it, but it was one of the more popular toys back in 2002. A lot of people especially kids, really enjoyed it. They still play the game today. I know they're still selling it today. I know it still sells big around the holidays. Heck, they've even made TV shows about it. Kind of weird if you ask me. But hey, to each their own. If that's what you enjoy, be my guest, and hopefully you still have the stuff, or you're able to still find it today if you want it. Now, the Bratz Dolls, sadly the video is not here, but the Bratz Dolls, they surpassed Barbie, it says here, to become the #1 toy marketed to girls. It says the dolls are also a great time capsule of the early aughts fashion, baggy pants, wedge sandals, and frosty makeup. And then there's the Razor scooter from 2000. Now, the Razor scooter, I saw a lot of people on campus that had these, and unfortunately, they led to more injuries than they did anything else. But all in all, a lot of people bought them. Millions of people had them and enjoyed them. When I was on college the college campus at Stephen F. Austin there, I saw a lot of people with these trying to get around to class. I think a bicycle would have done a better job. Probably fewer ankle injuries and knee injuries, but a lot of people enjoyed them. A lot of people had fun with them. And apparently in '99, you had the Pokemon game. The trading card game came out here in America anyway, and it apparently surpassed other sales at $4 trillion. It was just crazy how popular Pokemon was, especially back then, with their cards and all that mess. I don't really understand it, but hey, obviously they were onto something. They made $4 trillion out of it. The Furby, the original Furby, from 1998. As creepy as some people saw them, I thought Furbies were just really a fun little thing, a fun toy. They were really cool. Unfortunately, I was never able to have one of the original ones. People said they got freaked out because sometimes they would turn on by themselves in their bed while they were trying to sleep. But apparently they were very popular in '98. They sold 27 million Furbies. And apparently most still have them. It's kind of insane, but most people that had got them then, if they were at least careful with their toys, still have one to this day. Let's moving on to the next one. The Tamagotchi, I remember this. I didn't realize it was a Christmas thing, but apparently it was a big Christmas gift. They're saying that it was so popular that 15 were sold every minute at the peak of their popularity. The Tamagotchi was one of those things where you played and you kind of kept a little digital pet alive. How people did that, I'm not sure. I never got around to playing with one, never had one. The closest I had was some other, I forget what it was called, but it was some off-brand thing you found at the dollar store for like $2. Anyways, the Tamagotchi, very popular, sold millions of units, if not more than that, and it was a very wildly popular toy. Now this is the Elmo that I remember, 1996, the Tickle Me Elmo. I remember sitting there watching the news with my grandmother as they did as they showed some of the Black Friday shoppers literally running each other over, smacking each other, punching each other, pulling their hair, throwing them to the ground just so they could get the last Tickle Me Elmo for their grandkids. I remember watching an old lady, gray-haired woman, and one lady already had it and she snatched it out of her hands and punched her in the face. It was all over the news. I remember watching it with my grandmother. It was kind of sad but hilarious at the same time that somebody would get that violent and that stupid over something as stupid as a toy. And I get it. Elmo was very popular, still is very popular, but damn, it's not worth the violence. Now, Beanie Babies, those are one of those things that I still think are kind of cool. I like to collect them if I can find reasonably priced ones that look like something I'd like to have. Like I have a Coke Hippo from the Thai Beanie Baby collection. I think that came out that one was released like in the 2000s, sometime early 2000s. But all in all, Beanie Babies have become very valuable for some, especially if they're kept in mint condition, and kept the dust off of them and everything. And people have made them lots of money. I think they've had some sell for $1 million or more at auctions and stuff. So if you got your Beanie Babies, be sure they're in good condition. You might be able to make a little bit of money out of them. The Mighty Morphin Power Ranger action figures. Now, I'm scared to show the video with all the new rules going into effect. I don't want to lose get any strikes on my channel simply for airing a video. But in '94, they were all the rage. I knew kids just lost their minds over them. I remember after Christmas riding the school bus to and from school, and the kids just everyone having them on the bus. It was crazy. But it was kind of interesting how people loved them so much. I never got the show. I never understood it, and I never really understood why they wanted the action figures. But hey, kids enjoyed it, and at the end of the day, that's what I think what Christmas is mostly about. It's making sure kids get a chance to enjoy their enjoy Christmas. I think that's a good thing when it comes to Christmas time, is to let the kids have some fun. The Talk Boy says it was originally created as a tie-in to the Home Alone franchise. Talk Boy sold so fast manufacturers had to pull the commercials. I'm going to guess it was a way to record your voice and play it back like he did in the Home Alone scene. And it was, of course, Home Alone was a great movie. I still enjoy watching it. But I didn't realize that this thing was actually that important. I never even remember an advertisement for them. I guess I was too worried about other things in '93 to be concerned with that. Like Dallas Cowboy merchandise, because the Cowboys were, doing really well back then. '92, of course, you've got the big purple dinosaur Barney. You either loved him or you hated him, but either way, it sold crazy back in '92. All the kids wanted them. Everybody just was falling over themselves to get them there again. People getting violent in the aisles, just trying to get a hold of the last one because they could not keep them in stock anywhere. Along with that as well, like they say here, is the video cassettes of the TV show and everything like that, because of how popular Barney was. And everybody just wanted a piece of Barney. It wasn't my kind of show because I guess I was too old at that point. But I know a lot of people loved Barney and they still watch Barney today. in 1990, of course, the Super Nintendo. Now, the Super Nintendo was a really fun system. I think my first game for it was like a Legend of Link type game of some sort. I think I got mine used for my brother. But it was fun. I had a lot of fun playing it. I ran it into the ground. I played SimCity on it. If I remember correctly, I played a version of SimCity on it for days and days, and I played until that little disc or cartridge would not stay in the system. It's kind of like the regular Nintendo that way. I played it until it basically quit working. It says here, the best-selling console of the 16-bit era, Super Nintendo was initially released in Japan and South Korea in 90 and then came to the US in 91. So in 90, it was really popular overseas, and then 91 it would have been really popular here in the US. But all in all, I think I got my Super Nintendo probably 93 when my brother no longer wanted it and sold it to me for a few bucks. Who knows what, I don't really remember exactly how I got it, but I do believe it was his first. But anyhow, on to the next one. We're almost done with this list. We're at 26. In 89, it says one of the best-selling video games of all time. Game Boy outsold competitors and set the way for the whole line of future handheld devices like Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance. If you were able to get a hold of one of these in 89, 90, you were a pretty lucky person because they were hard to find and not very cost-effective if you were a kid just trying to find a handheld video game. Now, this takes you back here to 1988, the original Nintendo gaming system. It said it sold 7 million units in 1988 alone, mostly around the holiday season. Everybody wanted one of these. We didn't get ours until they dropped to like a $99 price point. I forget exactly when we got ours, but it was like a year or two later, and they were on sale really cheap. And our first game for that was the Karate Kid. And apparently the Koosh Ball. Some popular toys, toys of wish list past are incredibly low tech. Apparently, a lot of people really wanted this thing. I've never even heard of it before. But apparently, kids and wanted it. I guess it made a good stocking stuffer for people. And hey, if you had one of these, let me know in the comments if you had one, if it was worth having. 1985, Teddy Rexman. I remember seeing the ads for that and wanting one and never being able to have one as a child. It says, with the aid of cassettes in his back, Teddy Rexman could read stories to children and presumably creep out their parents just by watching the commercial. Very true. And once again, I will not air the video because God knows I don't need a copyright strike. But they were really popular toys, and I think a lot of people really enjoyed them. I was never able to have one. Let me know if you have any experience with the Teddy Rexman doll. Transformers, of course, it says originally from Japan. These car-turned robots became popular. An animated TV show was created. And later, live-action movies starring Shia LaBeouf, of course. All those movies are really, really good, if you ask me. All the Transformers movies are really pretty good. I never realized that the toys were made and then a movie came. I never realized that. But apparently, that is exactly what happened. I've never really had any Transformer toys. Just watched the movies. But if you ever have any of these original Transformers lying around, let me know if they still actually function. (1983) The Cabbage Patch Doll. Now in 1983, these are really popular with kids. It says they sold almost 600 million cells in basically 2 years. So at the end of the day, that was one of the most popular gifts in 83, and pretty much the entire 80s, the entirety of the rest of the 80s after they released. Kids wanted them, and they wanted them all the way into the 90s. But for that year, they were really popular around Christmas time, and there again sent parents to the store just begging to find one for their kid. And that is the end of our list. I hope you've enjoyed this list of Christmas past. Anyways, if you've had any of these gifts, or ever had them, or had the misfortune of having to hunt for them, let me know down in the comments how your experience was trying to find them or play with them. Anyways, y'all have a great day. I'll see you down the road. Have a Merry Christmas.